If you own a limo business and you've never done online marketing before, jumping into it at first is going to be scary and it's going to cause you anxiety because whenever you're trying something new that costs a lot of money, it's going to do that, especially in business. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try for it. In this video, I want to go over really two different things. Number one, kind of the mindset you need to have success with online marketing, your limo business. And then number two, I'm going to cover kind of what I recommend in order to convert the highest number of leads you get possible. And so by the end of the video, you'll kind of know how to approach psychologically online marketing, and then you're going to be a little bit better at converting the leads you get into customers, but more importantly, making sure you're not leaving money on the table. Okay, so yesterday I was doing a call with a newer client we have out of Orlando, and he's been with us about 5 or 6 weeks now. He had never done online marketing before, and so he really didn't know what to expect. And these actually, I love working with all of our clients, but if I had to choose clients to work with, it would always be clients that have done online marketing before, preferably with several agencies. So they kind of have an idea of what to expect, even though many times we exceed their expectations. If they've never done online marketing before, they really have no idea what to expect. And so they could get really good results, to us, really good results, and not think they're so great. And it's very rare that they get bad results and don't think they're horrible. So first thing I wanted to go over is, okay, what's the mindset? What am I talking about when I'm talking about the mindset going into starting to online market your business? So you're a limo company and you, let's say, do 10 or 15 grand a month, but it's all affiliate work. So this is super common. I would say most limo businesses are really just companies that do affiliate work. It's kind of funny. It's really like they're just Uber/Lyft drivers, but they're on a much higher level, right? They're getting paid more, but their vehicles are also more expensive. They've got a lot more expenses, but they are still relying on other companies to bring them business. And so when they want to jump into getting customers themselves, it's scary, first off, because there's so many things to online marketing and it can be overwhelming trying to figure out what you should be doing. But once you do start online marketing and start getting leads, this is the part where a lot of people might be in for a little bit of a shock, because if you've only done affiliate work up until that point, you don't really know what it's like talking to someone who doesn't know you, doesn't trust you, and probably thinks you're too expensive, which even when everything is done right, and we tell all of our new clients this, we know the searches to target, we know where to target, we know the ads, the landing pages, we know everything that works. But even when it's all done right, the majority of people still will not book you. We only have a few clients that book 50% of their leads, and they're one, really good at sales, but they're also in small markets, not a lot of competition. And so the average client that I would consider doing very well would be booking 3 out of 10 of their leads. So that means 70% of the people are saying no. And so first, getting over this psychologically is important, because you need to know that a certain number, the majority of people, will not become customers. When this becomes especially difficult is when you go through 10 leads and you don't book anyone, and maybe even a few of those people said that you were too expensive. The mindset is expecting this, right? And I think, as with anything in life, if we go into something, most of us always have some sort of expectation no matter what we're doing. But if our expectations are set correctly, which, I try to set the bar low, so that when you close, let's say 20% of your leads, I say, okay, that's pretty decent. So you want to go into these things with the right expectations, and there's going to be plenty of people that question your rates. And there's really nothing that can be done about that, because with search marketing, you're targeting people based on what they searched. So somebody who's never used a black car service before, very many times will be searching something similar to somebody who uses these services all of the time. And so the trick is you really have to be just as enthusiastic and as energetic with a new potential customer on the phone, even if you just did 2 calls where both people said that you were too expensive. Oh, never mind. That's too much. You need to tell yourself and constantly have the thought, that's not my ideal client. And if you know your rates, if you've done the research and you know your rates are competitive, even if they're a little on the high side, fine. If you're not completely out of the ballpark, just know that when people say that, that is not your ideal client that you are looking for. So the other day, my I would say, I guess, second in command called me, and he was telling me about a client who was sort of annoyed with how many people were questioning his rates. And he was telling my employee that, look, we provide the best service in this city. And number one, okay, that's great. You know that. Maybe your wife knows that. Your friends know that. But random person on the internet doesn't know that. How do they find that out? Well, do you have a lot of online reviews? What's your online reputation like? Can they find your business name with lots of good things said about you online? So that's number one. Number two, and this is actually a little more important and actually funnier. My second in command listened to some of this client's calls, and on one of the calls, he gave the person a quote after getting all their info, right? And then he told the person to go to his website and go fill all that information that person had just given him out on his website, and he could book from there because the person said they wanted to book after hearing the quote. And then he told them to go on his website and do all this work. And this was the same client who was claiming that he offers really spectacular service. So this is kind of a funny story, and it almost sounds crazy ridiculous, and it did to me when I heard it, but this is actually more common than you might imagine. And hey, maybe you watching this are guilty of it. I've been guilty of these sorts of things myself at times, and we really want to make sure that our customers, from especially when you're in the hospitality industry, which technically I'm not, but those of you who own limo companies are, and you want to make sure that from the moment they, and even before they become a customer, but especially from the moment they're becoming a customer, that their experience with you means they're doing less work, right? Means their life is easier, meaning they have more peace of mind, right? That's super, super crucial. And I was blown away when I heard that, because I'm assuming when he's talking about service, maybe he's just talking about the ride itself. The chauffeur is friendly. I'm not really sure what, but I can tell you this. Service starts on the phone, right? It starts by making them do less work. So what he should have done is done that all for them. Because I'm going to tell you one thing, and probably many of you watching this would be the same way. If I told someone I was about to give them money, and here's my credit card, and they instructed me to go on their website and go do a bunch of work, I'm not going to use that vendor, especially if there are other options, which there's lots of other options. Okay. So keep in mind, it's very important that when you claim your service is excellent, make sure you're delivering on that promise with every single customer, and that it starts before you even give them their ride. As far as mindset goes, it's really just having the right expectation and knowing that most of the calls and most of the inquiries you get are not going to be your ideal customers. That doesn't mean your pricing's wrong, but what it does mean is you need to expect this, because if you go into it expecting to convert 1/2 or 3/4 of the inquiries you get, you are likely going to be very disappointed. And really, if you wanted to convert that many, you might have to drop your prices in half, which wouldn't make sense for anyone. So going into online advertising, especially when you've never done it before, you've really never communicated with the general public, requires the right mindset. Number two, what are some things that I recommend doing to, it's not even about converting more of the leads and customers, because the truth is, even most of the clients you book through online marketing won't be worth it. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, if you're paying $100 to acquire a client, let's just say you're paying $25 a lead, it takes you 4 leads to get a booking. You just paid $100 for that client, right? What if it's only a $150 airport transfer? Okay, well, you've lost money. So your question might be, why would I ever do online marketing if those are the numbers? Well, it's because you're only looking to get those really good repeat clients. The goal is, you're kind of like mining for gold, essentially. You're really looking for those customers that don't mind paying a premium. They want a white glove service. So with this in mind, how do we go about making sure that we get those types of customers? Well, what is someone who's got the funds, and many times this could be a corporate client, and they want to be taken care of, they want that white glove service. What are some things they're going to want? Sure, the vehicle, newer model vehicle, that might or might not make a huge difference. Definitely needs to be clean. You probably want to have some Fiji water, right? That just is really the go-to for luxury. But more important than I think any of this is, if they're landing at the airport, are you just having them meet you curbside? When you do your quote, when you're giving them the price, are you quoting them on a curbside pickup? I would recommend quoting everyone. Number one, this helps a lot if you're doing it over the phone. Much harder to do this sort of thing via text. It can be done, but you want to quote, and you might be at an airport where you can't do this as easily, but if you are, you always want to quote your rate, including a meet and greet, okay? Because number one, Uber and Lyft can't do that. The types of clients you're looking for want that. They want help with their luggage. They don't want to go and hunt for their vehicle, right? They want peace of mind. Traveling is uncertain. There's layovers, delayed flights. They want certainty and peace of mind, and having to figure out where curbside is a hassle. And so always quote airport pickups with a meet and greet, because the type of client you want does not mind paying for that. Now, what I recommend doing is, before you give them the quote, you're mentioning, we're going to be tracking your flight. Our chauffeur is going to be there waiting for you with your name on an iPad, or however you phrase it, to help you with your luggage. But before you give the rate, you want to make sure they know that is being provided. Now, there's going to be plenty of people who balk at the price. Oh no, that's too much. You have somewhere to go then, right? You can remove the meet and greet. You can even add on a first-time client discount of 10% to earn their business. And you tell them that. You say, well, I'd love to offer you a first-time client discount of 10%. You'd say, first, I don't see that you've contacted us before, and then offer that. What you don't want to do is leave money on the table, because the money isn't made doing one-off $150 airport transfers. All of the profit is made for most of my clients, even my larger clients. They have a handful of clients themselves that are responsible for most of the profit that client makes, because every time you get a client through online marketing, pretty much, and this is really especially for Black Car, but that first ride, you're at a loss, right? Because it cost $100 or whatever to acquire that client. The second ride you do, that's when you're profiting, and only then. And that's why you want to get as many of those repeat clients as possible. That's really the only time that money is made with online marketing. That, combined with making sure that you are always quoting your higher rate. And then if it's someone who's more price sensitive, you can come down, remove the meet and greet, offer the first time client discount, making sure they know that it's a one-time discount. It's not an every time discount. Those are really the keys to having success if you've never done online marketing. Going in with the right mindset, which means the right expectations, and then also making sure you're handling the sales process correctly. If you've never done online marketing before, I don't recommend just starting out sending SMS quotes, because there's so much valuable learning that will happen when you start getting on the phone. And you might say, well, Mark, no one wants to talk on the phone these days. Everyone wants to do it through text. And I agree, most people do. However, that initial text you send to them just lets them know, hey, I'm going to be calling you shortly from this number in order to get you the best rate, right? As soon as you get an inquiry in. Now, if they can't talk on the phone, most people will say, hey, can you just send me a text with a quote or email it to me or whatever, because, I'm not free to talk. And that's fine. But I want you, for everyone who doesn't respond to that they can't talk, I want you calling every single one of those leads. And if they don't answer the first time, hang up and call them again. It's called the double dial, and it really does work, because what happens if people don't see a number they recognize, they won't answer. And that's why I do recommend when you send them that initial text message, let them know the number you're going to be calling from. That way they know that. You're going to learn so much in those first few hundred calls you do. It's going to make you better at selling your services. And I guarantee you, you will convert more prospects into customers. And finally, also getting on the phone, the great thing about it, another call I actually just did earlier today with a client out of New York City. He was talking about doing Fashion Week. And also he was doing some work for people going to the UN. And he had a lot of specialized knowledge about these events and the parking and the logistics, and this is invaluable. So one other thing is, if you know their destination is some sort of venue or some location where having a little specialized knowledge can be helpful, oh man, make sure you mention that when you speak with them on the phone. Anything unique that is going to make their life a little bit easier. I believe my client said he helped one client get some passes that client wouldn't have easily been able to get. Any sort of small value add here that really shows that, hey, you're going to this venue? Oh, I work with that venue all the time. Sure, I know that venue like the back of my hand. We go there every month. That's our specialty. That's what we do. You have a much, much better chance of landing that customer even than someone who's quoting much lower, especially for the right type of client, because that's a huge value add. That's one less thing they need to worry about. And the types of clients you want, the ones that can afford to pay 50, 100% more than the average client, they care about one thing, and that is time, right? Anything that can be taken off their plate, anytime they can pay a little extra and take a little worry off their plate, I guarantee you they will pay that money and be happy to do so and leave you a big fat tip, because generally their lives are very busy. And that peace of mind, knowing that that's covered, is just invaluable to them. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys on next week's video.